So your LG dryer is on the fritz, flashing one of those mysterious and, let's be honest, really annoying error codes. Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we are going to demystify that code and get your laundry day right back on track. If you're looking at your dryer's display and seeing a DE or a dHE code, you are definitely in the right spot. This is, without a doubt, one of the most common issues LG dryer owners face. But the good news? It's almost never a total disaster. In fact, this is usually a super simple, pretty cheap repair that you can absolutely tackle yourself. We're talking maybe an hour of your time, even if you've never opened up an appliance before. So just take a deep breath and let's get this thing sorted out. Okay, so let's dive right in. The very first step to fixing any problem is understanding what the machine is actually trying to tell you. These aren't just random letters. They're very specific codes pointing us in the right direction. So what's the difference here? Well, the standard DE code means there's a fault in the door switch circuit. Basically, your dryer doesn't think the door is safely closed. Now, if you see dHE, it's pointing to the exact same area, but it's specifically for a steam model. Those have a little heater in the door assembly to stop condensation from building up. Before we even think about grabbing a screwdriver, let's run through some really simple checks. You'd be surprised how often the solution is right here, requires zero tools, and takes just a couple minutes. First up, let's try a hard reset. Go ahead and unplug the dryer from the wall and leave it unplugged for a full 5 minutes. This can clear out any little electronic glitches. While it's unplugged, check out the door. Open and close it a few times. You should hear a really solid, satisfying click. And make sure nothing, especially lint, is jamming up the latch. And finally, a super important safety check. Try to start a cycle with the door wide open. If it actually starts, well, that confirms the switch is stuck in the closed position, and we've found our problem. So if those simple checks didn't quite do the trick, it's time to take a quick peek inside the machine. Don't worry, this is just a visual inspection. We're just looking for any obvious signs of trouble. And listen, this is the most important step of the entire process. Before you remove a single screw, you have to unplug the dryer from the wall. Seriously, there are no exceptions to this rule. Your safety is always the top priority. Okay, once you have the panel off, look really closely at the door switch assembly. It's usually right at the top of the door opening. Do you see any cracked or broken little plastic pieces? That's a super common failure point. Check for a big wad of lint that might be jamming the mechanism. And take a look at the wire connectors. Do they look brown or kind of burned or even melted? And last, does that metal plate on the door, what we call the strike, does it line up perfectly to press the switch? Any one of these could be your problem, right there. A visual check is great, but to be 100% sure if the switch itself has failed electronically, you're gonna need a multimeter. I know it sounds technical, but this test gives you a crystal clear yes or no answer, so you don't end up wasting money on parts you don't even need. What's great about this is how simple the test really is. With the wires disconnected from the switch, just set your multimeter to ohms. Now, when the little switch plunger is out, like when the door is open, the meter should read OL, which just stands for open line, no connection. But when you press that plunger in, like you're closing the door, that reading should drop to pretty much 0. That means you have a good connection, or what we call continuity. If it fails either one of these tests, congratulations, you found your faulty part. Oh, and a quick note for those of you with steam dryers and that dHE error. Your switch has a couple of extra wires for the door heater. You'll want to test the resistance across those terminals too. A healthy heater should give you a reading somewhere between 100 and 300 ohms. If you get that OL reading instead, the heater is toast and the whole assembly needs to be replaced. All right, diagnosis complete. Now that we know exactly what's wrong, let's talk about the fix. This is where we turn what we've learned into action and get the right parts for the job. This table lays it all out pretty clearly. Whether it's a busted microswitch or a cracked piece of plastic, the solution is almost always to just replace the entire switch assembly. And check out the part numbers. For most standard dryers, you're looking for part number 6501KW2001A. For those steam models with the dHE error, you'll need the heated version, which is 6501KW2003A. Now, in the very rare case that the switch and the wiring are totally fine, the issue could be the main control board, but you should always rule out the cheaper parts first. So now you know the problem and you've got the part number. The only question left is, do you tackle this yourself or do you call in a professional? Let's take a look at the numbers. And yeah, this chart really says it all. The part itself, the door switch, is going to cost you somewhere between $20 and $50. A professional service call, when you factor in the part and the labor, is probably going to run you between $200 and $250. For about an hour of your time, we are talking about some significant savings. Now, before we wrap this up, I have a really critical safety warning for you. You might find some advice online about bypassing the switch just to get the dryer running. Let me be perfectly clear. Never do this permanently. The door switch is what prevents the dryer from running while it's open. Bypassing it creates a huge risk of fire or injury, especially to kids or pets. This is an absolutely critical safety device, not a suggestion. And hey, to avoid this problem down the road, a few simple habits can make a world of difference. Try to be gentle with the door. Slamming it is probably the #1 cause of broken levers. Keep that latch area clean of lints, and maybe just check the door's alignment once a year or so. These tiny little steps can add years to the life of the switch. So there you have it. With this knowledge, you have a clear path from diagnosis all the way to repair. You know what the code means, you know how to test the parts, and you know what you need to fix it. The only question left is, are you ready to take on this simple repair and keep that $200 right where it belongs, in your pocket? I think you can do this.